The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause. Okay, this young man, Mr. Leader, welcome to Enter the Arena podcast, but this young man, Tadhg, has actually scored over 100 points. He's only 25 years old. He's kind of set himself up to be the leading scorer ever as a goalkeeper in the GAA. How excited are you to hear Mark Jackson today?
The lad's class. The very first session I saw him come to with this American football, instantly was like, this lad has something. I've coached a lot of lads, so and the fact he's come from maybe not the biggest county and he has that record under his belt at the age of 24, 25, like, he has some story to tell. And he has some journeys about to go on. So yeah, hopefully you can get a bit of a feel for that over the next
and he kind of seems to be kind of going under the radar a little bit. I think because he's from Wicklow and because they're in Division 3, it's not as popular of a sport there. He seems to have kind of like slipped under. So there's very, very little pressure on Mark, like there might be on, you know, some of the other players going through the International Pathway Programme. But you think he's still got exactly what it takes despite all that.
Very first session, as I said, we're literally after, I remember we're walking away and we're in the car park. And like, you know, Mark he didn't have a clue as to what we were doing, but naturally he was talented at it, because I do think he's an elite talent, and obviously we've seen that on the Gaelic football pitch. But I remember just pulling him aside and saying, hey, I'm not exactly sure what this pathway is going to be, but like if any man's going to walk it, I think it could be you. And that was literally after 90 minutes of kicking in football. So like he made that much of an impression on me straight away. And then when I started learning more about him and the records he's put up, is class. And now he has, you know, he's not from the biggest county as you said, but he's proven that he can deal with pressure moments, put the ball in the grass, bang between the uprights and do it time and time again. And that's what it takes to be an elite NFL kicker.
I don't think we need to hear any more about that. All I want to hear is more from Mark Jackson. Yes, he's the youngest man to ever score over 100 points from a goalkeeper position for a GAA team. Mark, welcome to Enter the Arena.
Thanks a million. Thanks for having me.
Delighted to have you. So obviously, what I've just said is just an unbelievable statistic. Was that kind of one of your goals that you set out when you were beginning as a goalkeeper? Were you a little bit of a gurrier that you decided to take free kicks? Like what happened? How does a guy score over 100 points when he's only 24 years old? You're now 25, but how does that happen? Like I can't even fathom that.
Yeah, I suppose I've played in goal for Wicklow since I was 18. So I had my championship debut at the age of 19. So yeah, in my championship debut I scored 7 points. So that was a good tally to start with anyway.
Not bad. Yeah. I've heard that's good.
Yeah. So it started well anyway. But it's just been I haven't missed a game since. So yeah, just. Wow. Taking frees in 45, so it's kind of,
Now Gaelic football wouldn't be huge in Wicklow, but obviously you guys just got promoted, and so it's kind of maybe growing a base there, and having someone like you kind of in the goalkeeper position. Obviously we've spoken as well to Rory. Was he kind of a bit of a role model there, Rory Beggan, kind of growing up, and guys like Cluxton, other goalies who were, you know, very adept at taking free kicks and kind of being in that kind of role for the team, helping a lot more than goalkeepers used to, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you're looking at the likes of Rory, Stephen Cluxton, Niall Morgan. These lads were started playing a good few years before I did, and they were the lads that kind of brought goalkeepers up into taking frees in 45. So they were the lads who kind of started with that. And when I started with Wicklow, it was something that I had in my locker, and it was something I kind of pushed to get better at and more consistent at, and thankfully I started to do that, and I've been doing it ever since, thankfully.
And where did it kind of start for you? Was it always kind of just like kind of have a big leg when you were younger as a kid? I don't know if you played a bit more soccer or just Gaelic football when you were growing up, but where did that kind of like, you know, big boot kind of, I'd love to aim for these free kicks, I'd love to get these goals. Where did that start for you?
Yeah, so it would have started with soccer. So my main sport up to 16, 17 was all soccer. I didn't really play much GAA up until I was maybe 16, 17 years of age. So I played in goal for soccer, and just to get that natural striking off the ground from obviously your kicks in soccer, and I kind of just progressed into the GAA from there. And that's kind of mainly come.
Were you always a goalkeeper in soccer, or how did that come about? Because usually the goalies, if I remember Mean Machine right, they're always the kind of crazy ones. Especially in soccer. So was that kind of?
Yeah. Well, I would have since I was maybe 11, 12 played in goal. I wouldn't say I'm too mad, but I was stuck in goal at the age of 12, and probably liked jumping around and muck a bit, and I never got out of it since. So
grand. And so, what did it feel then? I know you obviously played club as well in Wicklow.
Yeah.
But it must have been unbelievable when you were 18 years old to get a call up to Kent.
No, it was. I remember the day. It was actually I was 17 when it was actually my dad got a call from the Wicklow manager, because I was obviously too young to get a call from the Wicklow manager myself, being under 18. But
oh really? They can't call you?
Well, they called me dad. Gotcha. So he got the phone call off the Wicklow manager, and he said he wanted me to go up and train with the team. And it was. It was.
And were you at home with your dad at the time?
Yeah. We were just after finishing dinner, and this call came in from an unknown number, and it was the Wicklow manager ringing my dad to see if I had any interest in going out to Wicklow training the following evening. So that was it. Straight yes.
Day.
Yeah, that was a straight yes. Anyway.
And so I guess kind of going forward then. Had you quit soccer at this point? Were you all in Gaelic football?
I was playing the two at the start, and then kind of at the end of that soccer season, I kind of had to make a decision to which one I wanted to.
Because it's kind of a big load on the leg in particular.
Yeah. Even just in terms of training, when I'm doing something I want to put 100% into it, it's kind of going between the two didn't really work. So it was time for me to kind of make a decision on it, and that was. Gaelic football was the decision I made.
And I'm assuming, hopefully correctly, your parents are kind of like fully behind you then, kind of like pursuing kind of county goals, maybe quitting soccer. Was that kind of like a family decision? Were you just kind of like, no, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, my family are brilliant. Whatever I want to do, they'll back me in it. So, it was a decision we talked about, and it was kind of. At that time, it was the GAA was something you could get scholarships out of to college, and that was kind of the route we were kind of looking at. And that was the decision I made then, and they've been fully behind everything I've done since. And
did that kind of factor into the decision, the fact that the GAA could give you this kind of little bit of a leg up where maybe soccer didn't? Like
it did. I suppose in terms of soccer, if you're not really, making it to the likes of England at, 16, 17, it's not really something you can.
Well, it's definitely an uphill battle. Like if you haven't made it at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so that was just a kind of decision I made then. I said we'll fully go into the GAA and leave soccer where it was.
Brilliant. Jesus, that's kind of a tough decision. And so then you started playing full-time county, or I guess starting full-time at 19.
Yeah.
And you're kind of burrowing away then. Do you have a kind of like a highlight so far from those kind of county memories? Obviously, we said to outset over 100 points is pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
Or, your first game was at 7 points.
Yeah.
Any other kind of highlights there throughout that kind of like stick in your mind about kind of...
Yeah, definitely that... Wicklow debut is definitely up there. Kicking 7 points and saved the penalty, got man of the match in that game is definitely up there as an individual achievement. But I just kind of seeing the team grow year on year and being part of that is pretty special.
And now you're entering into a whole different arena. Obviously, you've come across the International Pathway Programme. You've been picked, or you've been chosen. I'm sure you've earned it too, and we'll get into that. But where did you first hear about kind of leader kicking and this kind of IPP programme that could get you a shot in the NFL?
Yeah, I suppose firstly I would have seen a good bit about leader kicking last year when kind of likes of Ross Bulger was going through the getting into the college programme over there. And that was probably when I first seen of leader kicking, and yeah,
And it's on social media, or
yeah, through social media. Yeah, kind of. I would have had a good few of my friends kind of tagging me in that stuff. That you should
Mark,
give this
could do that.
Yeah. You could give this a try, and I never really thought about it much more. And it was probably August of this year, August, September, when Tadhg gave me a text and he said, "Look, this is a potential thing that could be coming up. Do you want to give it a try?" And a couple of days later, I met Tadhg in Dublin, and yeah, the rest is history.
the rest is history. So he reached out to you,
Yeah.
and then you went down to compete. Did you go down just for a kick around? What was it?
Yeah, the first one was pretty much a kick round up in Clontarf, and we just kind of went through the basics of and the fundamentals of kicking American football, and then we did a field goals, punting and kickoffs, and yeah, that was where it kind
And
of
your
started.
reaction after day one is like, "Oh my God, these things hurt my foot. They're hard."
Yeah,
Was it kind of similar, or what was it like?
Yeah, I actually didn't find too much of a difference between the Gaelic football in terms of that sense of it.
They're both leather after all.
Yeah. I didn't find it a huge amount different. So yeah, the transition over I didn't think was a huge thing, but it's just a completely different challenge, I suppose, which is good.
And was it a bit intimidating that first time, or did you find like, maybe this is actually something for me?
No, I wouldn't say so. I like trying new things and trying to push myself into different areas, and yeah, it was a great opportunity to even go and try it, and yeah, no, I'm delighted I did go that day.
And then we go from there, we go from that first session. So how does that progress then to all of a sudden, Mark Jackson, Rory Beggan, and Charlie Smyth being picked for the International Pathway Programme, 3 GAA goalkeepers, who've earned it and kind of been picked to go basically perform in the combine. Like, where does that jump come from, Mark, from going that first session in Clontarf to now? Basically?
Yeah. Well, so after that first session I had with Tadhg said, make yourself free on whatever date it was to go to the UK for the first tryout. So yeah, since then we've been training 2-3 times a week, just going through the.
And that tryout was tough. Did it go well? Did it go a bit weird?
Yeah, it went pretty well. Yeah, I was fairly happy with my performance that day. Like that, it was something completely new to me. It was completely foreign. I've never kind of went through a tryout like that before. And
what was the tryout like in terms of your field goals? Did they kind of bring you from left hash, right hash?
Yeah, so we worked back left and right hash from 33 all the way back. I think we went back to around 60. And then we started with kickoffs first. I think there were 4 kickoffs, went into punting, 2 left and 2 right, and then it went into your field goals then. So that was the kind of the set for today.
And how far did you make it back in terms of your field goals?
I think it was a 57-yard right hash. I'm fairly certain.
That's not a bad ball.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
Okay, and then afterwards, I guess you're getting instant feedback. That was pretty good, that was pretty bad, because I know the other lads are kind of competing with you.
Yeah.
Well. So did you kind of know at that point, hey, maybe this actually is something? I mean, like, look at me, I'm in England here, being flown over.
Yeah. No, it was something that it was like, okay, maybe this could be, because to be honest, when Tadhg reached out to me at the start, I wasn't 100% sure how, this is never like. A kicker has never gone through this program before in Ireland, so
yeah, no one has.
Exactly. Yeah,
brand new.
Yeah,
they never did kickers and punters before.
Yeah,
and now all of a sudden there's 3 Irish lads brought forward by kicking. So
that's it.
To go through,
it was a completely foreign thing. It was at the start. I was unsure how this would even work, but kind of coming around that stage, I was like, this could be something that could materialise. Yeah.
And so then I guess do you call your parents at that point and be like, here, maybe this might be something I'm actually taking a bit more seriously than maybe I'd let on, or like to call your family or friends?
Yeah. To be honest, it was probably lucky at the time. I was in the off season of GAA, so I didn't have to kind of two of them clashing at the same time. so I could 100% put all my time into it, and that's what I did. I put all my kind of GAA off season into it, and so that's what. And then had that conversation with my parents, and I was like, this could be.
And they're okay with it, or were they kind of like, well, what's football?
Yeah,
Play football.
Yeah, no, there was a bit of that at the start, but no, like I said before, anything I do and anything I want to go after, they'll back me on it, which I'm extremely grateful for.
Yeah, that's great to have all that support from your parents. And then I guess kind of going forward now, we're at a point where 3 of you guys are heading over to Florida soon. You're going to go to Boston, then you're going to go to Florida, train at IMG Academy, which I'm sure you've seen pictures of and you know about. Are you kind of excited about that? I mean, like, I'd personally be absolutely delighted to get out of the weather in Ireland for even a couple of hours. But you lads are going basically for 3 or 4 weeks to Florida to go train. So what has Ty kind of told you what that entails? Are you kind of looking forward to it? Like, and how are you kind of preparing yourself for that?
Yeah, to be honest, it's a brilliant challenge coming up, and I can't wait for it to start. To be honest, I can't wait to get out to Florida. I'm really looking forward to kind of push myself into essentially a professional environment for a month where you're training every day, progressing every day. That's, as a sports person, that's what you want to do. They're the environments you want to be part of, and I just can't wait for it to kind of come around now.
And are you doing any extra preparation, like physically or mentally, for kind of that type of environment? Because obviously it ends, or what doesn't end, but it kind of pinnacles at the NFL Combine, like one of the biggest sporting events in the world in Indianapolis. Yeah. So how are you preparing yourself for compared to a Division 3 county game to the NFL Combine?
Yeah, I
is
suppose.
Is it the same? Is it different?
Yeah, I suppose not a huge amount of difference. In terms of your preparation, I've always taught myself to kind of prepare for everything. Prepare as best I can for no matter what it is, no matter if it's a club game, county game, NFL Combine. You want to put yourself in the best possible position to make it, no matter what that is. So I suppose in terms of the training regime at the minute, we're training with Tadhg 2-3 times a week. You're in the gym probably another 2 or 3, and then you're reading up, looking at psychology books in terms of looking at different things like that. You're obviously watching a lot more NFL games of a Sunday. It's
a bit of film prep. So everything else.
Exactly. So it's consuming
and with
every day now.
With the mental side, have you found a big difference between like going out to take kicks and then you get to run back and go on goal, as opposed to just focusing on this one kick on an NFL ball?
Yeah, I suppose even when you're playing GAA, you're when you see there's a 45 or a free, you're getting into that process of everything else is irrelevant at the minute. It's all in the moment. It's all in this kick. So it's you have no distractions of the rest of the game when you're in that actual moment. So. Yeah,
and that's how you view it, as kind of like just one significant piece.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And have you always taught that, or is that something you learned?
It probably would have been something I learned as I've been getting older. It's when you're in that moment, you can only control the controllables. And that's what you have to do. There's no point thinking about what's going to happen in the game in 2 minutes' time. When you're in that moment, just fully focus on that, and just go through your process, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, I found that myself during my own games in Arizona now this past year. There's you're trying to focus on this one kick, and you can kind of get emotionally invested in the games, particularly if it's a tight game. It's kind of going back and forth all the time, and you kind of realise, all right, well, we're actually not going to score a touchdown here, so I have to kick these points. We've got to kind of keep ourselves kicking over. And actually the whole fact that we're losing or we're tying is irrelevant to my kick. Yeah. It makes no outcome.
No.
It doesn't make any difference like before or after, because if I make it, we're all good, but if I miss it, then there's other stuff going on. But what's happened before actually makes no difference to me kicking the ball, and I kind of realize that sometimes you kind of get so involved in the game, and obviously it's tougher when you're playing GAA because you're actually actively involved, as you said in your first game so eloquently, you saved the penalty and you won, man of the match. But so you're actively involved in it, so what you do actually does affect. But I remember just thinking that I was kind of like, none of this is actually entirely irrelevant. All I need to do is just go up, kick the ball, go back
Yeah.
and sit down. So far on this journey, is there any big thing you're kind of looking forward to, either in Florida or in Indianapolis, in terms of the NFL in itself? Like, obviously it's going to be much different environment than the GAA. Obviously there's the potential to make a lot more money, possibly kind of uproot yourself. If everything goes great for Mark Jackson, he's probably not going to be living in Wicklow next year.
Yeah.
So is that kind of starting to creep into your mind a little bit? Is that something that excites you?
Yeah, I suppose at the minute it's just looking at our 4 weeks in Florida and Indianapolis. I suppose when you play sport, you want to put yourself up against the best competition you can, and essentially that's what's going to happen in Indianapolis. It's a high pressure situation against, and that's what you want. That's what, when you play sport, you want to play. Pressure is a privilege. That's where you want to be. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to kind of getting there and getting going at it. But yeah, no, that's kind of getting to Indianapolis and getting to that combine is, yeah, it's a surreal experience. But yeah, can't wait for it.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I'm always envious. I was telling Rory the same thing. I'm envious of the opportunity lads have, because finally there's a door for a ton of Irish athletes who are born doing this. Born kicking a ball from the ground up in between posts, same as the NFL. So I want to go back a little bit and talk about Wicklow. Like, I know the news kind of came out a little bit that you and Rory were heading over.
Yeah.
And maybe that was supposed to happen, maybe it wasn't. And I know Oisin McConville is your manager at the moment.
Yeah.
And he actually said it was pretty devastating, his words, that you were leaving. So has that been kind of tough? Has it been tough to kind of make this decision that, like, hey, I'm committing to this right now, and I'm like, whatever happens, I'm definitely going to miss a chunk of the championship?
Yeah, no, it definitely has been tough to have that conversation, to step away from the Wicklow panel for the time being, at least. Yeah, I suppose I sat down with Oisin and I put it out to him that I won't be able to commit until definitely after the combine, at least. So yeah, it has been tough to kind of step away. As I said before, I haven't missed a Wicklow game since.
He hasn't missed one game?
No, since I started. So
in 6 years.
Yeah, so it's been. It was tough to have that kind of conversation, but
and do they see the opportunity? Because I mean, I know, and you're quite new to it too. I mean, all this is kind of happening to you since September.
Yeah.
So it's all a bit of a rush here. We're in January, but do they kind of realise the opportunities that lie forward for a 25-year-old at his peak athletic ability? The possibility, like, not just life-changing location in terms of where you might go, but kind of life-changing money. Also kind of the chance to compete. If you're with Wicklow, you may be kind of stuck a little bit Division 3, maybe go up to Division 2. But here you're basically going to be taking one of the top 32 positions in the world. There's only 32 kickers in the league in this top division, and you could potentially be one of them. Do you think they kind of see it from that point of view, or?
Yeah, in fairness, anyone close to me who I've talked to about it is fully behind me going and fully behind me doing it. They see the what could possibly come from this. So yeah, to be honest, the only people's opinion I care about is the ones close to me. So, and all of them are fully behind me. So that's all that really kind of matters to me.
It's fantastic. I think that's the best attitude to have, to be honest. So if ever you feel any different, just ignore it. That's the best attitude to have. You're your own best weapon. Okay, pressure's for tires. So don't be listening to that. So I'm going to put something in your mind. I want to get your reaction to it.
Good.
Okay. Let's say it's 2027. Okay, this combine went great last month, went fantastic. You got picked up, you bounced around a couple of teams, but you finally landed kind of somewhere nice. You were like the Philadelphia Eagles somewhere, so on the East Coast. Not even that far of a flight from Wicklow or Dublin, quick little hop over the pond. And it's the opening game of the season, and you made the cut, so you're starting. It's the first game, you're going to start here now, you're sorted. It's, it's Monday night, it's 8 p.m. The fireworks are going off. It's Monday Night Football. The anthems start playing. You win the coin toss. Mark Jackson, number 5, lining up with Philadelphia Eagles uniform, is taking the opening kickoff of the season in the NFL. How are you feeling?
Yeah, that's where you want to be, isn't it? It's, you know, when you play sport, you want to play in the biggest stages, and the NFL is probably the biggest stage you can play on, and you know, it's surreal to be an Irish guy and even think that this could happen. And you know, so that's it's it's funny. I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know, it was like, you would say this is something you dream about as a kid in Ireland, but it's not, because it's never happened really before. So that's where you want to be. You want to play on the biggest stages, and the NFL is that.
So what happens when even the biggest dream you could have dreamed of, the reality is even bigger?
Yeah.
What do you do then?
I suppose you kick a touchback to start off anyway.
And get the nerves out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so that all goes great. You're with Philadelphia Eagles. So then what happens then? I mean, you're in the NFL. Mark Jackson's the starting kicker. We already have another punter in Green Bay, in Daniel Whelan. So now we got 2 guys. So does this, if Tadhg opened the door, does this open a floodgate?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that if it was to get to the NFL, there's now a pathway for Irish guys to do this. And that's what you ideally want to do. You know, there's plenty of Irish guys who have the legs to do it. If one lad can make that breakthrough, it should hopefully open the floodgates for it. And we're extremely lucky to have in Ireland a kicking coach like Tadhg. So when would you have ever thought us Irish guys could go to a coach 2 or 3 times a week, and get such knowledge from somebody? You know, I know now that when we're going to Florida, we're fully prepared for going there. If we hadn't had Tadhg, you know, how prepared could we be? So yeah, you know,
But probably wouldn't have even had the opportunity. I mean, I'm not sure if many people understand, like, you're literally going to be in front of every single NFL coach, every single NFL team. Like, the difficulty of getting even to, like, near that point, you know, I said it to Rory too, like, the chances of someone actually making the draft or making the combine, if they do play football in the United States, is below 1%.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost 0%. So someone having it in Ireland is well, up until now was 0.
Yeah.
Now you got 3 guys.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's.
So is there any ceiling to, like, Irish athletes getting into the NFL? Like, could this be?
No, I don't think so. I think this could be the starting point for, you know, weaving that tunnel for Irish guys to get there. And yeah, hopefully I can be the first one to kind of push through that and bring a whole pile with me after. So yeah, no, it's fantastic to have that opportunity to kind of make the break into the sport, and hopefully it'll open it forevermore.
And let's say it all does go really well. Let's say you have a 10-year career. Okay, so you got a lovely pension as well from the NFL. You go back, 35 years old. You play a couple more games for Wicklow?
I might get 1 or 2 with the junior B team at home as well, I think.
Oisin would be delighted.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Mark, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. You're an absolute gent. I think you got the right mindset. I'm very excited to see you play. For someone who's kind of actively playing and played before, you've got a great head for it, and always trust your instincts. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to another episode of Enter the Arena. We've been here with Mark Jackson. Mark is going to compete with Rory Beggan and Charlie Smyth in the NFL Combine in Indianapolis this March. We've all got his back. I actually can't wait to see him strike it. I'll be there too, so don't worry, I'll be cheering you on. If you enjoyed this podcast, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and give it a 5-star review, and you'll see lots more episodes from Enter the Arena, and you'll see again, hopefully, Mark Jackson after the Combine. We'll do a quick debrief with him and see how he actually got on. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.